Ένα, δύο. Ένα, δύο. Ένα, δύο. Ένα. Εντάξει.
Mr. President Christodoulides, Madam President von der Leyen, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you all to the press conference. President Christodoulides, you have the floor.
Φίλοι Πρόεδρε, we need...
Dear President,
Super.
Έλα. Ένα, δύο. Φίλοι Πρόεδρε,
Dear Ms. President, dear Ursula,
To change the channel. I hear Greek on my ears.
what about now?
Can the translator please say something?
can you hear the English channel, please? Can you hear the translation in English? This is the English channel. Okay, that's fine.
Bravo.
Αγαπητή Ursula,
Dear Ursula, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to warmly welcome my friend, the President of the European Commission, to Cyprus, just 1 week after the opening ceremony for the Cyprus presidency. Today's visit, together with the entire College of Commissioners, in the context of the Cyprus presidency of the Council of the European Union, is particularly important, and among other things, it does confirm our very close cooperation, both during the preparation stages and during the presidency itself. Our presidency, ladies and gentlemen, takes place in a period of complex challenges and increased, and I would say justified, expectation from European citizens. And in this context, and through this approach, we intend to work as honest brokers and reliable, trustworthy partners with a clear focus on results and in full awareness of our responsibility, our share of responsibility. And I'm certain that through our very close cooperation with the European Commission and other EU institutions, we will succeed and reach concrete, tangible results for the benefit of the EU and its citizens towards European integration and strategic autonomy, strategic independence for our Union. Ladies and gentlemen, during today's discussions, we had the opportunity to thoroughly discuss the priorities of the presidency And in parallel, and in connection with the work program of the European Commission for 2026, as expected, there are important aspects where there's alignment on the objectives and on specific actions that we will jointly promote during the next few months. And I want to be very specific. First of all, strengthening defense, security, and readiness of the EU. We agreed that a strong Europe needs to have the means and the tools necessary to defend, first of all, its citizens and to safeguard its energy and economic security. We particularly welcome the progress achieved during 2025 under the leadership of the President of the European Commission and the President of the Council, with important tools such as SAFE, as well as on military mobility. And during our presidency, we intend to pursue very decisively the important work done so far. And the important aspect here is that we now want to move on to the implementation stage. So our presidency intends to promote projects for approval from member states in the context of SAFE on the basis of the relevant recommendations by the European Commission, obviously. When it comes to migration, we intend to work towards fully implementing during our presidency the Migration Pact, the Pact for Migration and an informal ministerial council will be held here in Cyprus in June. Given that we're an island member state of the EU in a part of the world that is seriously threatened by climate change, we emphasize particularly both maritime security and security as regards water supply, strengthening European competitiveness. With a view to the informal European Council on the 12th of February, that will be dedicated exclusively to competitiveness, we agreed about the need to enhance, to support the single market, connectivity and innovation. And our presidency intends to work closely together with the European Commission in order to promote initiatives, reducing bureaucracy and red tape, simplifying legislation, and providing real support to small and medium enterprises. Third aspect, we discussed the global role of the EU and the importance of a Europe that's open to the world. And in this context, I would like to welcome the first important deliverable achieved during the first 10 days of our presidency, the approval of the Mercosur agreement after 25 whole years of negotiations. So in this context, we discussed Eastern Mediterranean. We agree that it's a part of the world that has particular geostrategic importance for the EU. Our presidency intends to promote initiatives that enhance political dialogue, cooperation with members, states and countries in the region in areas such as energy, migration, and regional security. And in this context, a very important aspect will be the Commission's contribution in the meeting that's planned for April in Cyprus, with the participation of leaders from the region, so that the first specific projects can be presented in the context of the Pact for the Mediterranean. Fourth point, we exchanged views on social cohesion and the protection of European values, given that economic progress should go hand in hand with social justice. Our presidency intends to work very closely together with the European Commission in order to promote policies promoting equality and improving the quality of life of European citizens. In this context, we plan to implement through specific actions the Affordable Housing Act presented by the President recently. This will be discussed during the informal ministerial council that will be held in Cyprus in May. Fifth point, we discussed ongoing negotiations on the multi-annual financial framework we agreed about the need to develop a strategic budget that will be focused on the new priorities, defense, security, competitiveness, without overlooking important traditional, if you will, EU policies such as cohesion policy and the common agricultural policy. And Cyprus is going to work very hard in order to achieve real progress and end up with the advanced, mature negotiating framework that will hand over to the Irish presidency. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond the program and the priorities of the Cyprus presidency, let me very briefly say that we had the opportunity to discuss with the President of the Commission the question of readiness of the Republic of Cyprus for full accession to Schengen, and I thank the Presidency for the excellent cooperation we've had with the European Commission. We look forward to further real progress for access in 2026. And we discussed, and I informed the President about the latest developments around the Cyprus issues, efforts to once again start real negotiations, and that's why we exchanged views. That's a very important point. And I want to publicly thank the President of the European Commission for her decision to appoint Mr. Hahn as representative. And that's a clear indication of the interest shown by the EU for Cyprus and the Cyprus issue. And once again, I would like to express my very warm thanks to the President and the entire College of Commissioners for the very real support provided by the Commission to the Cyprus presidency, and express my conviction that we will have an excellent and very productive cooperation. Thank you very much. Dear Ursula, welcome.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. Dear Nikos, I'm very happy to be back here in Cyprus. Actually, it is the 6th time in my capacity as President of the European Commission. And yes, we had an excellent visit of the College of Commissioners today. Your country stands at the crossroads of continents and cultures, and this gives Cyprus and Cypriots a unique expertise in dialogue, in negotiations, and in diplomacy. And these are assets that will matter greatly as your steer of our common agenda in the first half of 2026 is paramount. And as together we navigate in turbulent geopolitical waters, it fits that the motto, the theme of your presidency is an autonomous union open to the world. Concretely, this means that together we will be working on 3 key strands that will strengthen our independence. It is security and defense, it is competitiveness and decarbonization, and it is democracy and partnerships. So let me shed a light on these 3 working strands. My first point is on security and defense. Last year, at the European level, we have made more progress in defense than in decades before. We have presented the white paper. We have presented the readiness roadmap till 2030, but we have also enabled the member states to mobilize up to 800 billion euros to make this readiness roadmap really happen, so to implement it and to invest in the gaps, the capabilities that we need. And this includes the 150 billion for joint procurement, the SAFE program. Yesterday we had in the College of Commissioners the first 8 plans, national plans of member states out of 19 member states that have signed up. It was approved in the College, and now it's urgent for the Council to approve these plans to allow fast disbursement. And if things go fast, we could set the record that from the proposal of SAFE in the College till disbursement, we just needed 1 year. That would be fantastic. Closely linked to our work on security and defense is Ukraine. Peace talks are ongoing. At the same time, Russia continues its brutal shelling. This is the moment to keep our support strong, and sustained, so we can put Ukraine in a position of strength on the battlefield, but also at the negotiation table. And your presidency will have the key role to play to ensure a swift agreement between Council and Parliament on the 90 billion loan we have agreed on, or we have proposed yesterday, the legal proposal in the College, and we agreed politically on it in December in the European Council. At the same time, we're working with the United States and other partners on the so-called prosperity pillar for Ukraine, for a future peace agreement, how to recover the Ukrainian economy. And here let me underline that the central role that Ukraine's accession to the European Union plays. We have seen by experience that with accession to the European Union, a huge boost in economic growth happened. Poland is an example. Since accession to the European Union, Poland doubled its economic size because of access to the single market. So accession is both a key security guarantee in its own right for Ukraine, but also the essential engine for future growth and prosperity of Ukraine. The needs right now are immense, but our track record is also impressive. If you look at what the European Union has provided steadily during those last 4 years of Russian war in Ukraine, it's now up to 193 billion euros since the beginning of the war. And we can build on the instruments that we have created to make sure that this money is swiftly transferred to Ukraine under conditions that are held for the investment in Ukraine. So in general, it is time for a new European approach to that. And in the environment that we have right now, in security and defense, we have decided that it is also time during your presidency to come with a new European security strategy. My second point is on a competitive European Union, because only if we are economically strong, we can secure our independence. And let me start with innovation. Our hallmark is the freedom of science and research that is guaranteed in Europe. And that is why we launched the Choose Europe program last May. During your presidency, we will organize a follow-up conference of Choose Europe in May. The beating heart, of course, of our economy is the single market, as you know. We will present the 28th regime package to support innovative companies so that they have only one single and simple set of rules to operate within the European Union, a reduction of bureaucratic burden, and more speed in the growth of companies, innovative companies, within the European single market. But as important as the single market is a deep and liquid capital market, we have presented ambitious files on the Savings and Investments Union, which now need to make significant progress during your presidency. As you know, if we look at the competitiveness of the European Union, besides the single market, the Savings and Investment Union, the reduction of bureaucratic burden, the access of innovative companies to the single market rapidly, another point that is crucial is to tackle high energy prices. Several key proposals are already on the table of the co-legislators, and you will be working on the grids package and the permitting package, for example. Now, finally, we will continue with our work on simplification and burden reduction. You know that 10 omnibuses are on their way, but they all have to reach their destination, so we count on you here in the Council presidency. If these omnibuses are finally agreed, this means 12 billion euros burden reduction for our economy every year. But as I said, not the departure is crucial, but the arrival of the omnibuses agreed is important. Then for competitiveness, not looking only at our single market, there's another important aspect. Europe's independence benefits a lot from our strong and growing network of trade agreements. They help to diversify and de-risk. And with that backdrop, Saturday in Paraguay, we will write history. We will sign the EU-Mercosur Partnership Agreement, indeed after 25 years of negotiations. It will create the largest free trade zone in the world, but our ambition goes further. We're working hard to conclude our negotiations in your presidency with India, preferably at the end of this month, as well as with many partners like Australia, the United Arab Emirates, and Malaysia. So all in all, and this was only a short glimpse on the competitiveness topic, I'm very much looking forward to the informal leaders meeting on the 12th of February, because this will be the place to take stock on what we have so far achieved, but also to speed up further delivery on our competitiveness agenda. My third point is our common work on migration. You mentioned it too. We must work hand in hand to implement the Pact on Migration and Asylum, and there the next 6 months will be absolutely crucial. And I'm glad that I can count on Cyprus' experience. The overall situation in Europe has substantially improved in the recent years. If I may cite figures from Cyprus, there it's visible. Irregular arrivals fell by 62% in 2025 compared to 2024. And if you mirror that to the European level, it confirms the trend. If we take the year 2024, we had a reduction of irregular border crossings of 37%. And now in the last year, 2025, on top came a reduction of 26% of irregular border crossings. So let's keep up this work and focus on dismantling smuggling networks. Last, and certainly not least, you will play a key role in advancing the next long-term EU budget. Indeed, you mentioned it. The December European Council showed strong support for a political agreement by the end of 2026. That's our ambition. The momentum must now be maintained with speed and focus. We can deliver a modern and ambitious EU budget, a budget that supports Europe's choice of independence and that ensures that Europe has the right resources to match its ambition. So I'm very much looking forward to your presidency. Thank you very much for hosting us here today.
Thank you, Ursula.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. We will now take some questions.
Ευχαριστώ. Θα ακούσουμε τώρα κάποιες ερωτήσεις.
CNA.
Hello, Evie Andreou from the Cyprus News Agency. I would like to ask Madam President, in your State of the Union address in September, you referred to the intention to establish a new European firefighting hub based in Cyprus. So it is understood that this is a project that will also involve countries in the region, non-EU member states. I would like to ask if you could provide more information on this and if there's a time frame for the implementation.
Yes, thank you very much for your question. This allows me once again to say how grateful we all are for those who bravely every summer fight the flames and keep us safe. And I want to pay tribute to these brave men and women. I visited actually here in Cyprus in 2021, Larnaca's Ora village that was very, very badly hit by the wildfires at that time. The hub is also for them, and it will have a dual role. First, operational to respond to wildfire emergencies, that's very important, but second, also capacity building. So this includes, of course, also the wider region. And discussions at the moment being between Cyprus and our services are ongoing. We have determined possible locations, but for us it is a priority. So my ambition is that we launch the hub under your presidency. What the timelines are concerned, this is what I want to achieve, and I know you by my side.
Just to add that we're grateful for the announcement of the of the President of the Commission for the regional firefighting center, aerial firefighting center here in Cyprus. We hope that during our presidency we are going to have the inauguration of this center. We already identified that the center will be built next to the Andreas Papandreou air base in Paphos, and we're working very closely with the Commission in order to prepare all relevant work.
Next question. From Lazako, next question.
Karl de Meyer for the French daily Les Echos. President von der Leyen, as you said, we live in very turbulent times, so turbulent that several member states sent troops to Greenland. So can you please share your thoughts about the situation in Greenland, how the EU can support Denmark? And more broadly, you mentioned the new European security strategy. What do you think should change at EU level in the governance? Commissioner Kubilius last Sunday mentioned a European Security Council, for instance. So what should we change and how fast? Thank you.
To take the second question first, we are starting to work on a new European security strategy. And at the beginning of the work, it's not wise to limit or to expand explicitly already the different topics. So at the end, when we present the national security, the European security strategy, of course you will get answers on that one. But the purpose is indeed this exercise really to collect all the knowledge, to acknowledge the changes, the geostrategic changes and needs that are out there, but also the geopolitical changes in our world, and to give an appropriate answer to that one. On Greenland, what is clear is that Greenland can count on us politically, economically, and financially. And when it comes to its security, the discussions on Arctic security are first and foremost a core issue of NATO. But I also want to emphasize that it is the Arctic and Arctic security, both topics, are core topics for the European Union and matter enormously for us. This is, among others, the reason why we double down on investments and supporting Greenland. You might have seen in the draft budget, we have doubled the amount of financial support to Greenland. I have visited Greenland last year, I think it was in February or March, before this all started. And we established an office, a bureau in Greenland to have a very close cooperation with the Greenlandic government and people. We are discussing investments. We're doubling down on these investments now. The European Union has a very good reputation in Greenland, and we are counting very much on the excellent cooperation that we have. We will thus continue our work on Arctic security with our allies, our partners, including the United States.
Next will be CYBC.
From the Cyprus Broadcasting Corporation. Welcome to Cyprus. I have a question for you. Officials have mentioned on numerous occasions that priority will be given to the broader neighborhood around Cyprus. What is your intention? How do you intend to promote this priority as regards the neighborhood? And to what extent is this linked to recent visits of the President of the European Parliament and commissioners to Libya, Syria?
Okay, I got the sense of your question, the direction of your question, and indeed, first of all, we have the Pact for the Mediterranean, point number one, for the very first time, and I'm very much looking forward that you will be hosting a meeting of all the countries of the Pact for the Mediterranean, as far as I understand, back to our informal summit here in Cyprus. We are developing an action plan for the Mediterranean that will be presented in a few weeks. That is very important. And indeed, I have just returned from a trip to Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. For us, it's important, absolute priority, the stability of the region. Our interests in the Middle East are very clear. It's not only that we do strategic investments to enhance the stability of the countries of the Middle East, but also to boost the prosperity, the economic development. And then there are very concrete proposals, projects we are investing in, be it infrastructure, be it energy, be it security. So the list here is very long. Our experience is that the more stable our neighborhood is, the better it is for us and our neighborhood. And this comes along with investments, with sharing of skills, with job creation. That's the best remedy for our neighborhood to be strong, to be stable, and to be reliable. Cyprus is uniquely placed to be a bridge for that. I remember how you encouraged me to have my first visit time ago to Lebanon. You have very close connection to all your neighbors in the Middle East. So I also know that you are the best possible presidency to take forward a pact for the Mediterranean. And with that, I hand over the answer to you, if I may.
And the last...
Θέλω να προσθέσω ότι...
Let me add something. I would like to add that under the leadership of the President of the Commission, during the last few years, and that's something that we're very happy about, we see an increased interest by the EU and the Commission. And what I say now is not just the expression of a wish. In 2024, Cyprus had to deal with a serious crisis in the field of migration. And I remember that when I contacted the President of the Commission and asked her to visit Lebanon with me, in just a few days, she came to Cyprus. We traveled to Lebanon together. It was the first visit by a President of the European Commission in Lebanon. So under the presidency of my dear friend Ursula, we achieved the strategic agreement between the EU and Egypt. We traveled to Egypt together when this important agreement was signed. Recently, last December, in Brussels, we had the first summit ever held between the EU and Egypt. Just a few days ago, for the first time, once again, we had a summit between the EU and Jordan. Last week, the President of the European Commission went to Jordan, to Lebanon, Syria, and as the President of the Commission just mentioned, negotiations are ongoing for a trade agreement with the United Arab Emirates. That's a particularly important development. Let me remind you of the fact that in the new Commission, following a decision by the President, we have a Commissioner for the Mediterranean. That's very important. And it's something that we, as a member state of the region, had proposed. And what's particularly important, during the informal European Council, the Pact for Migration will be presented. And for the first time, there will be presentations for specific EU projects for countries of the region in the field of energy, infrastructure, education, health, and so on. And we believe that our presidency gives us an excellent opportunity to further strengthen and enhance the important work being done during the last few years by the European Commission.
Last question from DPA in the back.
Ansgar, the German press agency DPA. A question on Iran to both of you. From your point of view, what concrete steps can the European Union take to support people in Iran? And I mean beyond listing some more officials under the human rights sanction regime. And in connection with this, do you expect the US or Israel to intervene militarily to support the people in Iran, and would you endorse it? Thank you.
So what is happening in Iran is abhorrent, and the killing of the young people is a human tragedy. I cannot comment on other countries' activities. That's for them to decide what they do. But indeed, we are looking into deepening the sanctions against Iran. These sanctions are biting. So I would not just put them aside. They are biting and they have their effect. They are weakening the regime, and the sanctions help to push forward that this regime comes to an end and that there is a change. It is in the very end the people of Iran who are bravely fighting for a change. They have our full support. They have our full political support. They ask us also to list not only, as we've done, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, but also others that are responsible for the atrocities. They are asking us to list them, and I can fully understand with what is happening in Iran that this is something of importance, and yes, we will do so.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, Madam President. We conclude the press conference now. Please remain seated until the two presidents have exited the room. Thank you very much.
Thank you.